But to go to the town with Pep. Speaking of vibes, this whole episode was just vibes, but I
Okay,
did enjoy it.
see, when I finished the episode, I was like, that was kind of boring, but I
Ooh.
liked it.
Yeah.
I was like, it's such a refreshing change of pace for Riverdale.
Mhm.
Like I would take a boring episode where they, let's be real, not much was really going on. Like we're still getting setting up this world, right? Like there was no overarching like nothing that really happened besides the end thing seems like it's going to build any sort of season long
Mhm.
storytelling. We're getting into this world. Um, but I was like, I'm down with it. I love turning my brain off. I love it so much. And the cast was having a blast. Like it was just fun. I didn't need anything over the top. I'll take a boring Riverdale episode that
Mhm.
doesn't confuse me over a boring one that does.
And it was very different to the premiere because I think the big difference in this is Jughead's now in on the joke, so to speak.
Mhm.
Last week, obviously, he was running around and we have to fix this. Now he's part of it. And we said how KJ completely committed to playing the young Archie. Cole completely committed to playing the young Jughead in this. He wasn't like caught up in all it was a we need to save the world kind of plot. He's like, golly gee, they stole my artwork and I'm going to go and rant about it. And he really committed to the role. We've never kind of seen Jughead being his comic book self. That's the first time we really got to see it, and it was totally refreshing. Um, he went and complained to a comic book company. He got Ethel in on the drawings, and then Ethel came into play more. That's probably the biggest kind of role Ethel's ever had in an episode since maybe your first appearance in season one. So a lot of the dynamics shifted, a lot of the things changed, and yet not an awful lot was happening in it. But I think that gave Riverdale the time to play with the storylines it had instead of worrying about all these big end of world stakes, which is completely what sank season six. So I think this was a good thing. I know, very quiet episode, not as exciting as the premiere, but like Reed said, I'll take that any day of the week over whatever we got in season six.
I think for me, I know like the words that we're keeping in our minds for the season is bend towards justice, but I can also see how in this season I feel like it reset all these characters and I feel like the challenges they face in this timeline are going to bring them closer to themselves. Like you can see how Cheryl is getting closer to who she was by opening up to Tony. I really enjoyed seeing that where, you know, Cheryl's this repressed 50s girl who's like, "No, I'm not into Tony." And like but the closer they get to themselves, I feel like is how this world is going to start to crack a little bit. Like we
Mm-hmm.
see they all kind of like strip away who they were in the 50s and we're getting closer to themselves, like not by a long shot, we still have a long way to go, but that's something I enjoy seeing too, is like they may not be the characters that we knew, but each decision they make, the more that they question society, the more that they push back against it, it brings them closer to who they were, which like I want to hold on to these light, innocent versions of these characters a little bit longer because it's so fun to see like Archie without trauma a little bit. Like it's so fun to see them without all of the baggage that they had. What is it? I don't know how long that season 1 through 6, 10 years. I don't know. All of that built up, and they're from season 1 to season 6. There's different people, and to see them in the 50s, just completely innocent, fun, free. That's what I enjoyed most about this episode was just seeing them. Their biggest concern was the sock hop.
Mm-hmm.
And their feelings. I thought this episode for that was so sweet. And it's like not just romance, it was like wanting to feel appreciated and wanting to feel acknowledged. Like Jughead's whole thing is he wants people to see his work, to appreciate what he puts on the page. And he's young, so he doesn't. I love the critique that the guy at Pep Comics give him. He's like, meanders, it's too wordy, but it'll do, like, because
Mm-hmm.
he's just starting out, so he hasn't really found his voice in the way that he needs to, but he's found it enough to get hired to do something. Meanwhile, Ethel here is drawing masterpieces because apparently she's just amazingly skilled. But I like how subtle the isms were in this episode. Like you had the sexism of her being treated like something as mentally wrong with her because she's drawing something grotesque and she's a girl, and
Mm-hmm.
which I'm scared for her because I feel like the school's going to send her to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy.
I wish that did exist.
Yeah, we don't need that back. We don't need that back.
We don't.
Did you guys? Before I forget this point, I think in the opening narration when Jughead is he's in his jammies and he's reading his comics, and he said superheroes are out and horror is in. And I was like, is that their way of telling us that? Did they said that right? Like superpowers. So I was like, so are the superheroes? Is that you telling us that the superpowers were not coming back to that? Because I was like, sweet.
It's a nice storyline for you to move on.
Yeah, I need to go back and see if that's what was actually said, because I clocked it like after it. That's what he said? Okay,
it was, cool. Yes. I rewatched the opening this morning.
I don't want to read into that too much, but I'm like, can I read into that?
I know at first I was like, what do you mean superheroes were out in the 1950s? But now I like your
Michael was like, whoa.
Jughead, we gotta talk. We're over.
That means we could probably do some weird Archie stuff. They might actually have some things set up for that, which I'd be very interested in seeing. But for right now, we are living in the bubble of figuring out how to be in a relationship and what you deserve. I loved Archie's plot with Veronica because she was doing the most, auditioning those boys to be her date. And Archie is such a sweetheart, and he really just wanted to be the person who took her to the sock hop. He even wrote her a poem.
My sweet little baby. And see, I feel vindicated because from day one, I have loved Archie. Even when everyone was mocking him for the bear and the football line and all that stuff and him being stupid, I was like, no. Deep down, there's a sweet prince who just wants to be loved, who wants to give love, and we got him, baby. We got him.
Yes. And I love seeing that side to him because I always said this. I preferred football/musician Archie over everything that came next. At one point in time, it felt like the creative team were like, what can we do with Archie this season? What can we do with Archie this season? All the interesting storylines were always happening around Archie, and they had to stick him somewhere else to take him out of them. So this time, he's completely at the heart of the interesting story like he was in season 1. He's just humble, kind, nice Archie who maybe has a thing for music and is a poet and we didn't know it. And that was just lovely to say it. And it was just, give me that Archie any day of the week. I don't want prize fighter Archie. I don't want I wrestled with a burr Archie. I don't want highs and lows of high school football Archie. I just want poet Archie. I just want musician Archie. And I think we're getting all of that.
And no matter who he looks at, whether it's Betty or Veronica, KJ just smiled with his whole face in this era. And I don't care which ship I prefer. I am loving seeing these dynamics between, Archie and Veronica, Archie and Betty. And I was so invested in the storytelling of Betty and Kevin and the unrequited love between Betty and Archie that they just can't get on the same page at the same time, and the timing didn't work. I was like it just felt like what Riverdale probably would have been if it wasn't a modern thriller in season 1. Like, this is like the teen drama that we never really got because it was so steeped in genre, which I love Riverdale. I'm obviously, like, everything it's done, I think, has been so unique to this show. But doing this homage to, like, and the kind of era that these teenagers never really got is, I think I'm going to keep praising this aspect of the season because I think it's so unique and fun and innovative. And I just hope I haven't looked at what fans are saying because I just can't stomach it. So I hope they're having fun.
Yeah, well, with the 50s, like, even though they're in this decade, it's also like really relatable. Like, Archie's just really trying to like be with Veronica, and the way that he sticks up for himself around Julian, because when I watched, I was like, why did she ask him to come with information on politics and art? That is not who he is as a person, and you know that. Like,
the look on his face was like, oh crap, I know cars and football.
But I love that the episode doesn't discount him for that.
Yeah.
Like, he's just he has a different means of looking at the world and different interests. But it also, like, he can name drop an artist. He pulled out the Norman Rockwell. Don't sleep on him. But there's a innocence and, yes, like a warm-hearted, homely quality, not homely, homey quality. Homey quality to Archie that, like, where he just asserted himself. Like, you don't get to talk about my dad in his suits. You don't get to say, like, was he buried? I thought he was buried in the one he had. Like, Julian's a turd. He's absolutely awful. And like, I just really want like Veronica to get away from him, or to just want more for herself too, because this is also a part of her characterization that we saw over the years. She kind of goes for what's expected of her. And regardless of how like someone is treating somebody else, sometimes, you know, she doesn't stick up for people that she needs to stick up for. And that's what happened with Julian. He should have definitely gotten dismissed from her house after that comment. Like, you don't get to comment anymore on Monet. You get to leave.
Definitely. And I'm with you on that. And I feel like one of the most interesting aspects of the Veronica and Archie relationship has always been small town boy meets big city girl. And they only ever conveniently used that when it was to split them up. We're not meant to be. And like, we literally never seen any of this throughout the whole show's run. Why is this coming up now? Whereas now they're telling it from beginning straight through. And we're seeing that even though they do have that chemistry, there's going to have to be a lot of work there for her to understand what kind of person he is. And he tried to understand her world, and bless him, that was not for him. And I totally accept that. But we've seen before they can meet in the middle. And I really, really enjoyed seeing that. I'm not like, yes, Varchi, no, Varchi. I'm like, I'm happy to see ride this wave and see the journey here. Just like I didn't mind seeing the Betty and Archie scenes either. Like Reed said it earlier, it doesn't matter what ship you're on. All of the scenes are really intriguing. All of the dynamics are wonderful. The performances are great, and they're selling them. And everything just feels so fresh and new. And I can't wait to see where it goes next, because like, we've seen multiple relationships explored already. None of them feel finalized at this point. I think everything's still up in the air, and that's one of the most exciting parts of the season.
But to be a Bargy truther, real quick, like,
pop off.
I think what is so cute about them in this episode is they captured the innocence of the two of them, and we went back to like, clearly they've been best friends since they were children, and they have that cute little moment where he can't not dance, but she is trying to help him learn how to twist, and when that doesn't work, she slow dances with them, and you can see the light in their eyes as they realize, like, hey, this is nice. This is like, as Betty called it, it's a stirring. And it was true. You could tell that there's a piece of them that feels like something could come of this if they allowed themselves to cross that line from their friendship into a romance. And I just thought Betty was so lovely when she was trying to like talk to her mom about it. And I hated that Alice shut it down. I was like, you just want to feel appreciated by Kevin. I was like, Kevin does not want her. And you know Kevin does not want her. Like, it's but it's
Can we just have a moment for Alice's wig though?
Yes. Lovely.
Okay, I just needed to throw that out there. It's like, oh, imagine, that is amazing.
It's just an amazing wig. But there's this, after Veronica seems to give the clear about like, I guess if another girl goes to the sock hop with Archie, she'd be the luckiest girl in the world. And Betty's like, that girl can be me. And she like skips out of the thing, out of the, what is that? The changing room. The 80s music plays.
Yeah.
I saw your tweets and I clocked it too in the episode. I'm interested in this 80s synth music motif that's been running through the 2 episodes so far. Like, I want to know what it means. This is new. This is our Beanie Watch. Riverdale.
To me, just based off the 2 times they've used it, and perhaps when they use it again, it'll be different. It signifies them moving towards a time jump. Like, to getting closer to who they are. If that's 80s, maybe we're going to jump to the 80s at some point. Or like that 80s sound is supposed to symbolize their present day they're supposed to be in. So I was like, does that mean Bargy need to get together in order to get back to where they need to go? Can I revel in some Barginess? Because I would love it.
Was Jughead correct when he said Betty and Archie need to get together on the bed and it create an explosion and bombs and everything? But it does feel like they're slightly starting to bend towards the versions of themselves, or at least toying with that. I think that's going to be maybe the season running arc, and seeing if that can impact it or whatever. Because now that we've kind of written both versions of Tabitha out of the show for the moment, so we're like, how does that play in? What are we going to do with this, and how long will that last? So it does feel like the theme of the season has been taken off the table, and we're just letting the characters play around, moving them around like chess pieces and having a bit of fun with that. And if they want to do that for a few more episodes, I'd love it. I love that we had the sock hop. I always think Riverdale does the dance episodes the best, and that's always nice because you just felt the like nostalgia of high school, even though we're in the 1950s and don't know what that was like. It was just really, really nice, and it was nice to see these characters. It was nice to see Cheryl have that like dance with Tony, and then the principal like watching them. But it was nice generally.
He can get lost.
He really can. Really.
Can we talk about Bloody Ethel though? Bursting in and kind of like killing the vibe.
I wonder if it's her parents' blood, because that scene right before where they were like, "You can't go," and they were shaming her, and she was trying to tell them, just because you're miserable and you drink too much doesn't mean that I can't have a life. And I was like, "You're right, Ethel. Like, I hope you get away from your parents."
I wasn't expecting that. I know we said it was in the trailer, right? It was in the trailer. But I was still like, oh, forgot that Riverdale does gore sometimes.
I know. We couldn't have had more than 2 episodes without a bit of peace. But yeah, the fact of ending and the fact that it interrupted the slow dance as well when it felt like everything was like bending towards each other. It was such a lovely moment. And then that just kind of like shocked us back down to earth. And like the whole point that Riverdale needs to bend towards justice is that there's a lot of injustice right now. And I assume when, as far as Riverdale is concerned, that's going to include blood and murder and things like that. And poor Ethel always finds herself at the heart of these depressing storylines.
Always. She always brings the mess, that poor girl.
And she's always into Jughead, and it just never goes anywhere. It's like, free
Totally
her.
oblivious, bless him.
One last point. How do we feel about Clay? Because I like him, and I want to see more with Kevin and him.
I like him.
I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes.
Well, I guess considering the promo, it's going to go far. Like, as everyone else
promo for episode 3. Whew.
I know. They said, "Don't look at Ethel. Look at this." Like, we'll get back to Ethel.
I know. When I saw it, I was like, I was expecting like some tease about what Ethel's up to, and I was like, oh, so everyone's just horny next week. Got it.
Oh yes, it's that episode. I've seen that one already.
Yes. Oh, and Bugheads, you get a kiss. It's there.
Oh, did they spoil that in the trailer?
Oh, Michael.
Ah, I know things.
But they
Michael
did.
confirming.
So y'all get to eat. Enjoy.